Welcome back to the channel today. So today we're going to do an overview of the second main project that is on this channel, and that is a 1971 Chevrolet C10 pickup truck. As you can tell, we've been working on it quite a bit, taking the hood off, and the driver's side fender has come off in order to clear out the junk that collects in the cowls on these trucks. And as most of them, it does have a small rust hole. But for the time being, we're just going to try to get it running and all and driving this summer, and maybe over the winter when it's not car show season, tear into it and completely redo all the metal work. As you can see, we've done a little bit of patching, just temporary stuff, as I said. It's for the engine. It's got the stock 307, and we've put as you can see, an older Edelbrock aluminum intake and a Holley 600 CFM vacuum secondary on it. We also are running a Street Fire MSD distributor on there, and our plug wires, we just ordered them from Jigs, are coming in. They are Taylor cables. Got a set of orange wires. You don't normally see a lot of orange wires running the streets. Normally it's red, yellow, or black, so decided to be a little different on that route. We ended up originally, we had bought some the Street Fire plug wires, but we returned them because found out that they were made in China, and the Taylor cables are made here, so I'd rather buy American where we can versus buying the Chinese stuff. We also had to replace the radiator. Got a new aluminum radiator here. The one that was in the truck was not original to the truck. It was actually out of an old Cadillac that the previous owner had put in there, and it just wasn't, it was stopped up, had a bunch of mud in it, just wasn't a real good setup. So we took that out and took it to the radiator shop to see if they could clean it out and fix it, and they said that the best bet would be just put a new one in there if they couldn't fix it. As you can tell, the wiring on it is pretty much a mess. We got to completely rewire the truck. There's wires everywhere, and some of them, they're broken or they just don't go to anything, so we're gonna completely rewire it. It had the old halogen style headlights in it. I think we're gonna run an LED and a Demon Eye style headlight in it. Not completely sure on that. We are gonna put LEDs in the turn signals down here in the marker lights, as they look a lot better. And these, they didn't work because the wiring was also broke on them, so put a new set of them in it. The license plate on the front will come off, but that came on it from the previous owner. As you can see, this side, they've hit some stuff, and it has a little bit of the trim, but the other side does not have any trim, so we're thinking about just taking the trim completely off and filling in the holes later, because it doesn't really look right with having part of it with trim, the rest does not. Some of the other things we got to do, got to replace all the window sills. As you can see, the rubber in them is cracked and no good, and they leak all around. And the windshield is doing what most of the old C10 windshields do. It's getting cloudy around the edges. So for the time being, we'll probably just put seals in it, but later on we will end up replacing that. We did put some new door handles on it, nice chrome ones, make it look good, and locks, because when we got it, it did not have any locks or anything. Right now the bed is mainly used for storage, and the bed floor does have rust in it, but it's kind of expected with these old trucks. It'll get replaced eventually, but it's not a huge deal. This isn't necessarily a show truck, it's more of a driver kind of deal, and it'd be a pretty cool truck. The bumper on the rear has got to go. It's not the original bumper. Somebody the previous owner put one on there that he thought looked good. I don't like it. It doesn't look good. It doesn't fit the truck, so we might just run a roll pan on it. Not sure. It came with a tailgate. Tailgate was not installed on it. The tailgate was pretty beat up, so might run like one of the nets on the rear for the time being. Might put a tailgate on it later, or might just run it without a tailgate. Hadn't fully decided. The tail lights and reverse lights will all be changed to LEDs, make it a little brighter, because some of these old tail lights are kind of hard to see at night, and you don't want anybody running rear engine you in one of these, or any vehicle for that matter, but especially put all the time and work into fixing one up. You want to have adequate lighting for people to be able to see you. This truck does have the marker lights on the side, which will be replaced. We're going to run the LED marker lights that have the little chrome trim in them. I think they came off the Cheyennes and the higher edition C10s, a little bit nicer ones. I like the chrome trim in them. They look pretty nice. We're going to switch that out. We did have to switch out the front brakes. They had this truck 71 did have disc brakes on the front from the factory, and by the looks of it, the brakes that were on it came from the factory, because the rotors and all were pretty well chewed up, and that's what's left of the pads that came off of it. So that stuff didn't look wouldn't stop too well, to say the least. It's got the old original 15-inch wheels on it. We're going to clean these up, paint them, put some beauty rings on them and some centers, and they'll look pretty nice on there. Tires, got to get a set of tires, because they look like they're in pretty good shape until you come around up here, and you can tell that the tire's beginning to split right there. And I don't want to take a chance on blowing a tire running down the road at 60 miles an hour. It just doesn't sound like the best thing, so we're going to end up replacing these. Probably going to have to replace some parts on the front with the tie rod ends and whatnot. The steering will have to be addressed, because the steering's got a lot of slop in it. Shocks are another thing. We're going to put shocks on it, because these shocks they're pretty well shot. Now on the inside of the truck here, we've taken the seat out. It's got to be covered. That's in another video. I'll show you what the seat looks like. It's pretty rough, especially the back from the sun beating in on the clear glass. Just really ate the seat up. The floor is pretty solid for the most part. Did find rust right there, but for the most part they're solid, so we're just going to patch that up and get that where it's good to go. Now this truck does have the common rust above the windshield that several of them have when that seal leaks, and we are going to get that replaced probably in the winter time, like I said, when all the body work gets done, and make this truck solid again. And it does have a little bit of other rust around here in the door jambs and all. But like I said, that'll all get addressed and fixed. Now we'd bought a new fuel tank for it, because it still has the tank behind the seat, and we took that also to the radiator shop, and they boiled it out and found that it was leaking and all. And that tank, it was nasty. There was a bunch of rust and all in it. So we bought a new tank, got it home, started to put it in the truck, and apparently didn't think the filler neck looked right, and apparently it had been dropped during shipping, and the filler neck was cracked and turned the wrong way. So got to go get that exchanged, and then we should be able, we're going to run new fuel lines, should be able to fire it up and see what she sounds like. Now this truck was an old 3 on the tree truck, and we still have the original old 3-speed that came out of it over here, but we are not going back with a 3 on the tree. The previous owner had already put it in the floor, but he used the shifter on it. Just was not a good shifter. It would not go into basically the only gear you could find with it was reverse, and the shifter would just bind up. But here's the transmission, put all new seals in it and gaskets, packed the needle bearings and everything in there, and we got a shifter coming, a Hurst Master Shift 3-speed shifter that we're going to run on there. That'll be a big improvement over the other shifter that was on it, and for the time being I think this truck will be a pretty cool little cruiser. But we're obviously got quite a bit of work left ahead of us to get the truck ready to go down the road. And as with all those old Chevrolet trucks, rockers and cab corners are another area that need to be addressed, because like most of them, these are rotted out. You can see it's bubbling where the rust is starting, and some of the rocker, they've already tried to replace some of it in there, but you can see the hole right there, and you can tell when you tap on it. In some areas the rockers have been filled with Bondo, which is okay for the time being, but we are gonna replace them and do it right. But yeah, so that is our 71 C10 project that me and Dad are working on. I think it'll be pretty cool, and obviously thinking about painting it a blue color, maybe a metallic blue or something. Not a big fan of the green. That's not the original color. It originally was an olive green truck, and then they painted it this Hulk green, and as you can tell, this paint job is definitely not the best. They did not do a lot of prep work to it. In some areas you can tell they just shot over the old paint, didn't prime it or anything, but that'll all be addressed later on. For the time being, we just want to be able to get it on the road and take it to some shows here and there. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.